we were preparing to go to Six Flags, and of course I wanted to wear like a little spaghetti top, and I just was shaving under my arms, and I found a lump on my right breast. And I brushed it off because it was a weekend, and because I worked here at the hospital, I talked to the doctor that I was working for at the time, and her nurse, you know, she looked at it and just told me I need to go get it checked out. So I went to my family provider, who actually do small type biopsies in their office, but that one was so large, she recommended that I go to a surgical oncologist. So I did that. All this happened within a week. So I went to the surgical oncologist for a visit, and again, I went into the cancer center because it was a surgical oncologist, and just the atmosphere, I just felt like out of place, because you see people getting treatment for cancer, different types of cancer. You know, the people who've lost their hair, the family members, the caregivers that are with them. I actually was at work and just ran downstairs on my lunch break. I just felt like it was just draining, heart-wrenching. So I had that visit with her. We scheduled the procedure. I had it, came back to work in like 2 or 3 days. And it was, I think I went back for post-op visit. I think it was either 7 to 10 days. And when I walked into the clinic, I had a different feeling. It was like a sense of belonging that was not relevant or prevalent at the first time that I went in. So I went in to see her, and when she came in, she asked me, was I alone? And I was like, yes, I'm on my lunch break. And she went out, and she came back in, and that's when I got the diagnosis. And I was just shocked because I was told it was nothing more than a benign cyst because of my age and the amount of caffeine I took in. I was not prepared for that diagnosis because I went in alone, and once I was told, I experienced shock at first. My children were 9 and 4 at the time, so I automatically thought I was going to die. I thought it was a death sentence because that's all you hear. It's like cancer, you immediately think of death. I knew nothing about research, I knew nothing about treatment. So after the diagnosis, I met with my family, and we decided, you know, I needed to go back and talk to the oncologist for treatment options. I was given choices of, I think the biggest word I took in was a lumpectomy. And I was okay with that until I started doing my own research. And I decided to have a mastectomy. Like, I wanted it completely gone. At the time, I didn't think about a double mastectomy. Had I done it today, I would have gotten rid of both of them. Because 2 months after my mastectomy, I had a lump to appear on the left breast.
Wow.
Yes.
What happened with that?
I had another biopsy, and then I had a mammogram. So it was a benign cyst, what they thought the first one was.
Yeah.
So.
What was that like? I know you already touched on this a little bit, but being so young and getting a diagnosis that you probably thought in your head wasn't for someone your age. I mean, even doctors would have probably said, because I mean, they did tell you, right? There's no way that's what it is.
No. I thought I actually was going to die because I had 2 aunts who died from, I found out after I was diagnosed that they died from breast cancer, and they were in their 60s. Wow. So I was like, no way, I'm not even 30 yet. This cannot be happening to me. Yeah. So it was, and from that moment, I developed a fight or flight, and I decided I was going to fight, especially for my children at that time.
When you say you look back, you would have done things differently. Why do you think that is?
Because now, of course, back then, I didn't know anything about breast cancer. I didn't know anything about the research or the treatment options. Yeah. Now that I know, I would have chosen to get a double mastectomy.
Yeah.
I just was, at the time, I felt like getting rid of that breast would get rid of the cancer altogether. Yeah. And I wasn't thinking about a reoccurrence option or the chances for it to spread somewhere else. But now, knowing what I know, I would definitely get rid of both.
What is your advice to young women like me who are probably, I mean, I'm 27, about the same age that you were, who are, you know, recently I had something, and I drink a lot of caffeine too. Yeah. And my husband, because he's a dental student, was like, it's probably nothing, but you're going for an appointment anyways. And we went, and it was nothing, and she said reduce your caffeine, and and I did, and it was fine. But what is your advice to young women like me who might see something, think something, maybe they have a family history, but they're thinking like I did, like you did, I'm only 25 or I'm only 26. What's your advice to them?
My advice to them is to, if you find something, get it checked out, because you are your own body's advocate.
Yeah.
And I, at the time, didn't know anything about breast cancer, and I
Right.
do credit working in the medical field,
Yeah.
because had I not, I would have brushed it off. So my talk to young women is early detection is the best protection.
Right.
So I talk to young girls all the time and tell them that you are your body's advocate. You need to know when to get treatment.
Yeah.
Or even if you have a question, like, just get it checked out.
Right. And she'll be able to probably talk about this more because it's her area of expertise, but I still do want to ask you, because you're an advocate. You obviously were in the healthcare industry and went through it yourself. Now you're an advocate, still involved. What have you noticed? How the treatment options, just the availability to options has changed?
So what I've seen most evolve is the genetic testing, because that was not even offered. Again, I'm 18 years. I just had genetic testing 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I've had several aunts and their daughters who've been diagnosed with breast cancer. So they're all getting genetic testing. I have a 27-year-old daughter who is about to get genetic testing. So
Right.
I just preach early detection, know your family's history, and if you find something, say something.
Right. I'm curious to find, since you got it after you were diagnosed and a survivor of breast cancer, what did your genetic testing show when you got it done?
My results were negative, and actually it changed my treatment option, because I have dense breasts. I was still getting I wasn't getting a mammogram. I was getting MRIs like every year. Now I think I get it every other year.
Yeah.
And I have to come see the nurse practitioner here. I don't have to come see her every 6 months now. It's like once a year, or right after I have the MRI.
Because the genetic testing showed that.
Testing, yes. For the longest, I was coming every 6 months.
Wow.
In the first 2-3 years, I was coming here to the cancer center every 6 months.